With just 13 days to go before WrestleMania 33, was WWE able to build excitement for the biggest show of the year? Let's discuss it. As always, guys, want to start by thanking everybody for coming back to the Riggs Beast channel. And as always, let's go beast on that subscribe button. Let's go beast on that like button. And let's go beast on this Monday Night Raw review, which came to you live from good old Brooklyn, New York. Raw is going to start tonight with the typical recap of last week. This time they recapped Foley, Stephanie, Triple H, and the Seth Rollins saga. You're going to see plenty of the Authority tonight, folks. 5 total segments. 5. It's 2014 all over again. But to actually open the show, Mick Foley is going to come out. He begins by reading a prepared statement. He thanks Triple H and Stephanie for giving him the opportunity to be the general manager for the last 9 months. He then apologizes for putting Mr. Sacco in Triple H's mouth. He states that he's going to take a leave of absence, then starts yelling about index cards. Says 10 minutes before the show, Triple H hands him index cards to read off of, and that he's not going to read off them. Why read off them? He's Mick freaking Foley. At this point, they're going to start muting the mic like they did with CM Punk years ago. Mick's getting frustrated. Stephanie McMahon comes out. Says Mick was given a golden opportunity and Mick screwed it up. He always screws it up. And he only cares about being liked as the crowd starts chanting Foley, Foley. Stephanie McMahon then goes on to do the one thing we've expected for weeks and fires Mick Foley. Good on Mick Foley for finally getting that hip surgery. And honestly, good on WWE for finally ending Mick Foley as the general manager. It has been a disappointment to say the least. Interesting here, Sami Zayn then comes out. Gets in the ring with Steph, says what she's doing to Mick was wrong, and that a lot of her decisions lately have been wrong. Cue your first CM Punk chant of the night, by the way. Stephanie blows him off, says I wasn't even listening to what you were saying. Sami then goes back at her that she should be ashamed of herself for how she's treating Mick and how she's treating the boys. Steph goes that Zayn isn't on a level to even speak to her. Zayn goes on and on about talking about what's doing right, not necessarily doing smart. Samoa Joe comes out. Stephanie makes a match between Joe and Zayn. I didn't mind this open. It wasn't bad. They had to get rid of Mick. The hip surgery's coming, I believe, in a couple weeks. I don't think it's this week. It might be next week, might be the week after, might be after WrestleMania. I'm not 100% sure. But they had to get rid of Mick soon. A lot of rumors, a lot of people saying Kurt Angle's going to be the next GM. I don't know. Would it make sense? Sure. Would people like it? Sure. But are people going to like it 2 months later? Probably not. So we'll see where that goes, to be honest. I'm not making any predictions there because, frankly, it's just that. It's just fodder. Who knows? But as for Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe, this match was very similar to the Fastlane match, but it was allowed to go longer, but as a theme to the night for any match that went longer than 5 minutes. They go to commercial right before the match. You come back mid-match. They go to commercial then during the match, then come back. You completely kill your audience. You kill your home audience. And later in the night, when you do this with a bunch of matches that are going to go longer than 5 minutes, you kill the crowd as well. Because if they got to listen to a theme song for 5 minutes, you're killing them. You're absolutely killing them. But before the first break, though, Joe does a superseda to Zayn on the outside. It is just crazy to see him do that. He used to do a lot of the crazy shit like that back in TNA. He's done it all over the world. These guys have had great matches all over the world. And this was probably another one. I'd love to say it was, but for what they showed on TV, it was similar to Fastlane. When they get back from the break during the match, Joe's got Zayn in a rest hold, so they probably were sitting in that for about 2 minutes. Zayn gets a brief comeback. Joe catches him with a reverse enziguri to stop that. Eventually, Zayn gets the momentum back on the outside. He puts him into the post. It cuts his eye a little bit. Joe bleeds out of that eye, man. Remember back last year at NXT, TakeOver, same thing, bled badly out of the eye. He's bleeding a little bit out of the same eye. Zayn does his DDT through the ropes. They get him back in the ring. He's going to go for the haluva kick. He gets slammed by Joe. Joe goes into the coquina clutch. Joe wins the match, and I do want to make this note. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I absolutely love how Joe rolls his eyes in the back of his head when he's doing the clutch. It's almost like he's blacking out, like he's going to a different place. It just adds so much to the Destroyer, to the not caring about your opponent, aspect of Joe. Absolutely love that. So they go to break, and when they come back, this is the Mick Foley goodbye segment. Zayn is first to say goodbye to Mick, blah, 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 hero, blah, blah, blah. Then Cesaro and Sheamus are hugging Mick goodbye. They're really milking this one, guys. Then Bayley hugs Mick and says goodbye to Mick. Triple H is sitting on a bunch of chairs. He gets up and just goes, "Have a nice day," and Mick leaves. They go next to the Seth Rollins injury update. They have Kevin Wilk for this. This shit was bad. This was just dumb. Kevin Wilk was bad at lines. They're trying to build sympathy for Seth, but this did nothing. They say he re-aggravated the injury. No doc will clear him, and it could take several months, but that Seth is driven, and that they fear if that he competes, he'll be back there the next day. They also announced Triple H is going to respond to this later in the show. They could have just had Triple H respond to a report. They didn't need Kevin Wilk. They didn't need this to build sympathy. Last week was good enough. This was just dumb. Next, we get to Charlotte and Dana Brooke. I ran a poll on Twitter. Who does their job worse? Dana Brooke or Byron Saxton? I'll reveal the poll results later in the show. You might be surprised who won that one. But the reaction for Dana Brooke was absolutely fantastic. There was none. I talked about this on Let's Talk Wrestling episode 5. If you want to change Roman Reigns, don't have a reaction. What you did for Dana Brooke tonight, do it to Roman Reigns. And you'll get what you want. Nobody gave a fuck about Dana Brooke. So question, how do you think this match went? Now, how do you think it went? I'll give it a second. You think about it. Dana botched, Charlotte was awkward, and Charlotte wins with a big boot. They didn't even believe Dana could take a natural selection, so Charlotte won with a big boot. Dana Brooke, Dana Brooke, Dana Brooke. We have Stephanie McMahon again in the show. This is the third time an appearance by the Authority, and I'm calling them that because this is 2014 all over again. Stephanie's with Bayley. Bayley talks about how she used to look up to Steph, but now she just tries to hurt people. Stephanie then basically books Nia Jax and Bayley, and if Nia wins, she's in the Mania match. She makes a no DQ, and that you may not hurt people, but Nia uses her power to hurt people. We've been talking for weeks about how it's going to be a fatal four-way. It's finally revealed tonight if it's going to be a fatal four-way. I want to give this next segment credit, the highlight reel. Usually these shows within Raw or SmackDown are bad. This one, however, really, really good. Honestly, I believe Jericho's the most over guy on Raw. Seriously, he has become the most over guy on Raw, and when he came back with a New Day, and it was dumb. He got himself completely over. By the dumbest shit you could possibly imagine. That's Jericho's gift. His gift is taking something that seems so dumb and making it gold. The list of Jericho, stupid idiot. These seem retarded. Yet he's made them into t-shirts and he's made it into money. He starts by saying he has the Friends of Jericho and they're going to cheer him on, man. Yes, that was bad. We're going to move on. We're not going to speak of this again. He shows the real Kevin Owens, which is Kevin Steen at 16. This is a real picture of him doing the Jericho pose with a Y2J shirt, with a Y2J poster in the background, and three little dolls, if you didn't notice, of Chris Jericho, a Draws one, which was interesting, and Owen Hart. Remember, we talked about Kevin Steen last week about why this match with Jericho shouldn't be shit on. It's going to be really, really good. This is a Kevin Steen dream match for him. It was legitimately one of his idols growing up. Him and Owen Hart were the man's idols. Jericho then goes into how Owens reached out to him in 2014 when he got signed with the company through DMs. He shows the DMs. And then after going through that, he says he wants to show the real face of Kevin Owens and wants to face the real Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. Shows the Fastlane photo when Jericho comes out and he has that scared face. He goes into wins. He's standing at Mania and his first singles match. And he hears the music hit. It's going to transport him back to when he was 16. It's going to make him sick to his stomach. The butterflies in his stomach are going to be like eagles. That's all pretty much true, I believe. He then says, one of the funniest lines of the night, that Kevin Owens isn't a prize fighter, that Kevin Owens is a fan, And Kevin Owens is a Jericho fan. He was marking out, man. Yeah, I did it again. Deal with it. After this, he goes into pretty much everything he's ever been in WWE in one fell swoop. He goes, he's going to face the GOAT, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, the best in the world at what he does. Calls him a stupid idiot. And then goes, you know what happened, Kevin? You know what happens, Kevin? You know what happens when you stab your best friend in the back? He puts up the pen like he's going to put him on the list. Samoa Joe comes out. It's a distraction. Kevin Owens attacks him from behind. Gets the pop-up powerbomb on him. Throws the pen from the list. Takes the list. Rips it up. Actually got an asshole chant for Kevin Owens. This, great segment. Well produced. Well done by everybody involved. The show to this point is not that bad. We're going pretty good. Again, we have too much authority figures. That's going to be a problem with WWE. They're just going to beat that into the ground. But this Raw, compared to others, really not that bad. Next, we have Perkins and Kendrick in Who Gives a Fuck. They have Kendrick squash Perkins in 2 minutes. This was the guy who won the Cruiserweight tournament. This was your first Cruiserweight champion. He's now squashed in 2 minutes by Brian Kendrick. Kendrick then grabs a mic, barely getting words out, talking about Tozawa's not even in the country, has his passport, and there was no fucks given by anybody. Nobody's making a damn sound. Like I said, couldn't even get the words out. Next, we get a Roman interview. He gets the proper booing. Roman's asked about Taker and if it affects his match with Strowman. Says the only time he thinks about Taker is when he pictures Taker lying on the mat. And we're really making this about whose yard it is. That's what we're basing this match on. That is such a stupid premise. I'm not trying to be entirely negative all the time about Monday Night Raw. But guys, this is a stupid premise. If you disagree with me, hit me up in the comments and hit me up on Twitter at The Riggs Beast. Now, we had 2 promo segments to promote Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg. They weren't there. So 2 weeks before WrestleMania, Raw's Heavyweight Championship, their universal title, their main title, is just video packages. This is absolutely lazy writing, lazy booking, lazy all around. You need to have them there. Even if it's just Paul Heyman, you need to have them there. This is going to be your main event of WrestleMania, and they can't even have an appearance 2 weeks before Mania. That's lazy. I'm going to call it how I see it. So, number 4 for Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and the Authority tonight. Steph is now going to book a 4-on-2 handicap match, going after everybody who gave Mick a goodbye. It is now Anderson and Gallows and Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro. And if Sheamus and Cesaro lose, they are not in the triple threat tag match at WrestleMania. It's 2014 all over again. We go into Bayley versus Nia Jax. Commercial before it. 3 minutes into the match. Commercial again. You're killing the crowd and you're killing the audience. Honestly, the people in the crowd care so much about this that there was something happened in the crowd and everybody focused on that. There was a chant. I couldn't make it out. Nobody was giving a fuck about this because if you've been watching the product at all, you knew Nia Jax was getting added. Once she beat Sasha at Fastlane, that shit was confirmed. She was getting added. They just held it off to add something to a Raw before Mania, and they just booked it on this one. But you knew it was coming. They start doing a wave. Honestly, nobody gave a fuck. And the match was even passable. But you can easily understand the Brooklyn crowd going into business for themselves when they're structuring the show this way. Later in the match, though, Jax is going to go for a chair like she did last week. Bayley cuts it off, hits her within the ropes, gets a 2 count. Jax is going to win by slamming Bayley. And as we predicted, Nia Jax is in the women's title match. Fatal 4-way, Nia, Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte. No women's title match from either brand is a one-on-one match. Next is the 5th and final segment for the Authority. This is the Triple H segment. Big time interview with Michael Cole. I had hopes this was going to be excellent. I hoped this was going to be good. He starts by saying he's disappointed with the news about Rollins not coming to Mania. He really wants to fight him. Very quickly, you could tell this is going to be the Triple H promo that drones on and on and on and on and on and on. Crowd goes into business for themselves again with the CM Punk chant. It fucks up Triple H a little bit. Kind of funny. Triple H then goes into debunking Cole, saying that it's partially Triple H's fault that Seth Rollins is hurt. Says it's all Rollins' fault for listening to the crowd. He drums up a Foley chant to say, see, you got him hurt. His ear, his limp, which he calls a hermit walk, blames it all on the crowd. Then he starts going into how the millennials are doing it. He's getting millennial heat. Anytime you want to get heat with the crowd, call them millennials, call them lazy, call them whiners. They'll go to Twitter and get mad and whine. There he's actually right. He gives Cole tickets to WrestleMania, says he can give these to Rollins. They're not front row. They're nosebleeds, but they're good. He'll hear the roar of the crowd. As he's walking away, he comes back and says, you know what? Let me see those. He says, I really want to have this match. Seth thinks he wants to have this match. If Seth is willing to sign a non-sanctioned contract match that they can't sue if he gets hurt, come to Raw next week and sign it. So they're going to have the match. They're going to go this way, non-sanctioned. It's not a bad way to get to Mania. You can protect him if Rollins is still a little tweaky with the knee. This is good, but Triple H, this was a bad promo. This was a droning promo. Notice there's no New Day yet. I was really starting to wonder, by the way, if there was not going to be any New Day with the Xavier Woods scandal with Paige. Honestly, I don't see why Xavier would be in trouble at all. This was fucking years ago, but we'll get into that in a minute. Next, we have the 4-on-2 handicap match. Hooray! This match lasted all of a minute. Basically, Anderson Gallison fight with Enzo and Cass because they called them out. They called them a bunch of stupid names. Still like Enzo and Cass, do not get me wrong. But you knew Sheamus and Cesaro were winning. They weren't changing that match. They win. It's still a triple threat tag match. And now we get to the New Day segment. I was really close. I was starting to type #Raw, where's New Day? And there they are. And if you don't think these guys are good at trolling, and the act is getting stale, but tonight they were funny. And they were only funny for one reason. They start with Kofi and Big E both looking at Xavier Woods. And they both go to him, is there anything you want to tell us? Now, seriously, that is funny for anybody who knows the situation. And if there's kids listening, I'm not going to go into graphic detail. Basically, there is video of Paige. Fuck it. There's video of Paige having sex with Xavier Woods while another man filmed it naked. It was years ago. Paige is crazy. Paige is a slut. It happens. I don't know why Xavier Woods would be in any trouble. There was rumors they were going to take him off of Mania, not have him on Raw. Why? Tom Phillips can go want to face fuck people 2 weeks ago. This guy just has sex with a woman a few years ago. It gets filmed because Paige films everything she does apparently, and they were going to do something to him? Nah, garbage. All they did was promote Mania, so the whole segment was dumb overall, but that beginning was a hilarious troll, and I had to make a point of that. Aries versus Nice is next, and this is your moment of the week where I ask WWE to please either fire Byron Saxton or Byron Saxton to quit because he is bad at his job. That Twitter poll I talked about earlier, who is worst at their job? Dana Brooke or Byron Saxton? With an 80% vote, Byron Saxton is voted worse at his job than Dana Brooke. So the botching, clumsy in the ring, no real personality Dana Brooke is better at her job than Byron Saxton announcing. I agree with you, Twitter. I agree with you 100%. But for Austin Aries and Tony Nese, this was another one. Commercial at the beginning, commercial in the middle. If it went longer than 5 minutes, this happened, except for the main event. The match was back and forth. The match was good for what we saw again, but because you didn't see more than half of it due to commercials, how do you know? How do you know it was good? Aries is going to win with the discus forearm. They call it the discus 5-arm. I kind of like it, but I'm going to call it the discus forearm. Neville comes out after the match. He talks about being better than Aries, king of the cruiserweights. Aries comes back with, I'm hearing the words you're saying, but I see a guy who knows he's getting in the ring with someone who isn't at his level, but better. Once again, give this match 15 plus, and it could legitimately steal the show. After this was the second promo for Lesnar Goldberg. I already went over my thoughts on that earlier. And we get to the main event. We get the commercial here, like I said, before the entrance is finished. So the fans had to listen to Roman Reigns' theme for 5 minutes. Does WWE hate Brooklyn? Do they hate Brooklyn? They already hate Roman for the most part. Then you're going to make them listen to the Shield theme for 5 minutes? Bruh. Now, with it being so late, this was going to be the last commercial that was at the beginning. And it's okay. It's okay that it was there because they didn't have another one during it. But they very easily could have did this after the Lesnar Goldberg promo. Yes, it would have been quick commercials, but you get the entire main event in full. That would have been a better idea. but at least not having it during the match worked. As for the main event, Reigns is going to get quick offense on Strowman, but Strowman is going to dominate for the majority of this match. Honestly, question here, how is Strowman not in a WrestleMania match yet? He's going to be in the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, and he's got to win the thing. But seriously, how is he not in at least a program for WrestleMania? He has come a long way. Last year, people were hating on him because even rumors. And this year, he's got people interested. And it's not a lot for WWE booking here. Strowman deserves better. And I never thought I'd be saying that. So kudos to Braun Strowman, man. After about 2 minutes of this match, though, they go into a rest hold for 2 minutes, which made no sense. None. Braun's sweating like a hoss, though. So maybe he was blown up. I don't know. But they come out of the rest hold. Reigns is starting to get offense. They go to the outside. Second drive-by by Reigns here. He gets back in the ring, goes for Superman punch, is caught. He gets slammed, but he gets right back up, gets a Samoan drop, 2 count. Then Reigns is going to go for another spear. He's going to get caught, but he's going to come up, come down, get the Superman punch. And as he's going for the spear, lights go out. Taker's just standing in the middle of the ring, staring at him. Roman staring at Taker. Taker staring at Roman. Roman staring at Taker. Taker staring at Roman. A little bit awkward. Eventually, Taker chokeslams Strowman. Now, it looked like that chokeslam hurt Taker. He could have been selling something, but it looked like that chokeslam hurt Taker. To finish this up, he's going to turn around. Roman's going to spear him. He's going to get out of the ring then. They're playing his music. He's getting booed. He walks up. He looks back. Taker sits up, then struggles to get up. They go to Taker's music. Roman nods his head. Raw goes off. I've got to make this note. The Undertaker still doesn't look good. He really doesn't. Now, I know there are a lot of people who will be furious if Roman wins. But if you look at Taker, 2 weeks before Mania, he doesn't look good. He needs hip surgery. I think they have to have Roman win. I hate to say it because I don't want Roman to beat Taker. I have the nostalgia for Taker just like everybody else. But I think they have to do it. The man doesn't look like he can get to one more Mania. Now, maybe he miraculously looks great in 2 weeks. But even tonight, a chokeslam to Strowman, and he looked hurt. He legitimately looked hurt. Maybe I'm overblowing it, but I'm worried for this match with Roman at WrestleMania. If Roman's got to carry this, oh God. But tonight's Raw is definitely better than last week. Last week was god-awful. This Raw, I'm giving a 5.5. You know what? No, let's give it a 6. It had its really dull, bad moments. Too many authority figures. Cruiserweight matches nobody cared about and not really pushing anything. They tried with Aries and Neville. You cut the commercial, you kill it. The Triple H promo for Seth Rollins was droning on and on and on. The doctor segment was dumb. But the opening segment with Mick was pretty good. Sami Zayn stepping out of the comfort zone and at least getting spotlights good. The Jericho segment was great. The New Day troll was fantastic. Joe and Zayn was a good match. The Raw was decent. It did its attempt to build excitement, but with no Goldberg, no Lesnar, no Heyman, and that's going to be your main event, that's extremely frustrating. Extremely. So let's go with a 6 for Monday Night Raw, and that's going to do it, folks, for this week's Monday Night Raw review. And as always, let's go beast on that subscribe button. Let's go beast on that like button. And as always, guys, keep it beast.